Hello, future Rossis and pre-med explorers. This is Milena Garcia, your host for Ross University Checking the Pulse, a pre-med podcast. This is our mini podcast featuring facts and information about our medical program, insights from current students, and tips from practicing physicians. Each week, this podcast will be broken down in small episodes, focusing on one aspect of our program, also having guests talk about their own experiences as students and as doctors. Match is such an important topic. Let's do another episode on it. Results show yet another strong year for Ross with a 95% first-time residency attainment rate so far. Our graduates will enter residency programs in 23 specialties throughout 43 U.S. states and territories. Notable specialties include Dermatology, Orthopedic Surgery, Anesthesiology, Emergency Medicine, General Surgery, Interventional Radiology, Radiation Oncology, Physical Medicine and Rehab, and Neurology. In this episode, we meet Dr. Hussain, who matched in Neurology. Welcome back, future Rossis. Thanks again for joining us. In this episode, we're going to be talking to one of our recent grads, Dr. Syed Hussain. Dr. Hussain, thank you for joining us. Let's take a moment to have you introduce yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So, hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Syed. I am a new neurology resident starting in Pittsburgh at Allegheny General Hospital. A little about me. My pathway into medicine was a little unconventional. Growing up, I had this interest in how things worked. I initially had this idea and planned that I would end up as either an architect or an engineer. And, much to the dismay of my mom and dad, I would take things apart around the house and try and put them back together again, often failing. But that ultimately led me down this path towards engineering. So I'm actually from New Jersey. I did biomedical engineering for my undergraduate degree, and this ultimately led me down towards completing my master's as well in biomedical engineering. During my time prior to medical school, I was involved in a lot of research. So this enabled me to pursue a thesis later on. Ultimately, I ended up shadowing my dad's friend, who is an anesthesiologist down at Cooper in Camden. And the thought, I was trying to be a little sneaky about it because I thought, I can get into the hospital, I can gain some inspiration for some ideas. However, I guess fate had other plans. And so I ended up becoming interested and falling in love with medicine. And that ultimately led me into pursuing a career in medicine. Yeah.
And as you mentioned, you recently matched in neurology. So tell us what neurology is.
Absolutely. So neurology, if you're ever fascinated or want to know how your body works, just even the smallest thing, it's basically your brain and your spinal cord at work. Neurology covers pretty much any pathology that's associated with, for instance, headaches, movement disorders, strokes. If you're interested in, for instance, seizures and epilepsy medicine, that's basically the foundation of neurology.
I have a picture of this evil doctor with like electric shocks in people's brains. Is that what you do?
Oh, no.
No?
No, we don't do that. So a lot of it comes down to therapy. So for me, my specific interest is movement disorders. And the reason being for that is when I was in when I was doing graduate school and I was doing my master's degree, I had an interest in movement disorders. So I did a lot of research and a lot of work on ALS and MS during my master's program. And that ultimately led down this path of wanting to do neurology. It's something that eventually I hope to pursue a fellowship in once I get to that stage.
And for those of you listening, neurology is a competitive residency. So congratulations
for
you so recently matching. This is a huge accomplishment, and we're very proud of you. And we want to recognize and highlight this accomplishment because it is competitive. Tell us, how did you get there? First of all, tell us how competitive it is and how did you get there?
With neurology, normally there's roughly 3 to 5 seats that are offered per year during the match process.
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
4 or 5. All right. Yeah.
So if you compare that for like, so neurology is a subspecialty of medicine, and any subspecialty will be competitive. Medicine seats, they typically offer around 10 or more. But as I mentioned, neurology, 3 to 5. As far as me getting here, a lot of it was finding the right rotations, getting the right letters as well. Luckily for me, I had the opportunity. Ross has a great program with California Hospital Medical Center in Los Angeles. And I was able to do a really strong neurology rotation over there. I believe that ultimately helped me secure a neurology position in addition to the research that I had done previously during my master's program. So that experience, I believe, really helped solidify my ability to get this position.
Sounds like you were strengthening your application for residency all throughout medical school during your clinical rotations, developing those letters of recommendation.
Definitely.
Okay. And so when we were talking earlier, you mentioned you graduated in November. So Ross, for those of you listening, Ross does have 3 term starts a year, which means we finish 3 classes a year, right? Dr. Hussain graduated off cycle, right? So tell us, what did you do during the time between, you graduated back in November, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So what did you do between the time of graduation and residency?
So obviously during that period, you're interviewing for programs up until the end of January. But in addition to that, I worked for Rossis University as a simulation teaching assistant, which was a fantastic experience. If you love teaching, which is one of the core components of medicine, then having an opportunity to come back and give back to Ross was really, really awesome. So I had the chance to teach 3rd years and 4th years, and it was good practice for me. Medicine is, you're always learning, you're always trying to stay fresh on the material. And so that's kind of what I was able to do during this time.
Let's go back a few more years. Why Ross? What brought you to our program?
Yeah, definitely. So, as you mentioned previously, there are 3 cycles where you have the opportunity to start this program. And for me, I graduated in May of 2016 from my master's program. And the great thing about Ross is I didn't need to wait. I got to start in 2017 of the next year. And because I was also a late applicant, I had decided on medicine during my master's program. And so Ross gave me that ability to pursue this dream that I had. So.
And how did you hear about our program?
Yeah, so I've actually had family that have attended Ross. My sister, she was also a professional prior to attending medical school. In addition to that, I actually have a cousin that attended Ross as well. And now he's a hospitalist in Chicago, and my sister is a hospitalist in Chicago as well.
Yeah. Nice. All right. And so for our future Rossis listening here and your family history with Ross, do you have, obviously you know what it takes. You have 2 people who've done it ahead of you. You just matched in a highly competitive residency. Any advice for our future Rossis listening today?
Yeah, I felt like, going to Ross really helped prepare me. I was able to create some really good relationships, which I think will last a lifetime. As far as medicine goes, it's hard no matter where you go. I thought Ross prepared me well, and I'm happy that I did it this way. I don't think I would have done it any other way. And
what does it take to be successful in medical school?
Oh, a lot of grit, a lot of determination, but you can do it.
Dr. Hussain, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Congratulations once again. We're very proud of you.
Thank you.
And for everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time. Thank you for listening to Ross University Checking the Pulse, a pre-med podcast. This is Milena Garcia, your host. This podcast is made for you, so let me know what topics you want us to cover on future episodes. You can send me your comments, feedbacks, and requests to mgarcia@rossu.edu. Definitely follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel at Ross Med School, or on Facebook. If you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, I am working my way to 5 stars, so remember to send me your comments and let me know your ideas. If you're on Spotify, remember to click on the follow button to get our future episodes. All right, See you future Rossis and pre-med explorers next week.